they went by, and suddenly the train stops in the middle of nowhere. Along comes the guard and opens up sufficiently to be able to still contain the seal, but enough to be able to say something inside. And he says, where you're going, you don't need any money. So hand over all your Hungarian money, German money, and even dollars. And so that's what we did. Another hour, a few hours go by, and suddenly we're in another area where there's nothing, in the middle of nowhere. Again, the opening of the door. I want all your watches, all your rings. And a third time. By the third time, this is just hassling, and imagine 2 days have gone by, and you're inside this box. And my grandfather shouts out, he says, you asked us for money, we gave it to you. We give you everything else, so stop bothering us. And if you want to, you can shoot me. Now, at the time, my grandfather was 65 years old. And the guard in German says, get back in there, old man, or I'll shoot you. I give you this story because these people were in business for themselves. But essentially, they were not supposed to do that. It's supposed to all be gathered together, repackaged, and sent to Berlin, to a central station where the gold and the money and everything else belongs to the government, of course. But all these people were in business for themselves. In many ways, one can look upon this behavior as a totally lawless society. Lawless in that every person who was in charge of a particular group, of a particular place, whether he was a mayor of a town or he was the head of the SS in a village, he became the law. As it was expressed once, I remember reading something about this. One day someone was complaining to Himmler saying, I don't understand what's going on. I know in my unit there are a number of people who have Jewish blood in them. How can that be? After all, if you, by law, if you have 3 Jewish grandparents, you're automatically a Jew, and that's it. But in my unit, in the SS unit, you have some people who have grandparents who are, all 4 grandparents who are Jewish. And his answer was, I determine who is a Jew. So in many ways, it was really a lawless society. And so finally the train arrives, it stops. We actually stopped outside of the camp as we came in, remember, through that little entrance. We were outside. It was late afternoon. Eventually the train pulls in one of these 3 tracks. These 3 tracks were built in the spring of 1944. The reason they were, originally there was just 1 track coming in. Like from Slovakia, we may have had 50,000 people come, and that's about it, because that's all the Jews there were. Now a new transport is going to come. The remnant of the Jewish people of Europe, from Hungary. Close to half a million people. And so they felt that when the trains come in, they may come in multiple trains at the same time. What are they going to do? And so they split this up into 3. So you have multiple areas where you could discharge people. So we arrive here. By the time my train is located approximately where it was. Now remember, this is a very long piece of track. That's because there were 50 cars or 60 cars sometimes. And then the doors are slid open, and all you hear is, heraus, mach schnell, get out quickly. Take nothing with you. Leave everything in place. What did I have? I have the small little suitcase with some underwear and some food, but no, I'm no longer allowed to own that. I get off the train, behind me is my brother, behind him is my grandfather, grandmother, and 10-year-old cousin, members of extended family. We get off the train, nothing, we have nothing with us, and form lines. I was 14 years old and I'm looking around. Where is this place? Where am I? As I turn, forming lines in this direction, on the right-hand side and off to the left-hand side, I see flames coming out of chimneys. My cousin turns to me and says, "What kind of factory do you think this is?" I do not remember my answer, but he did. So in 1990, he was here with a group of students from Israel and relates his story. And so they asked, "So what did your cousin Irving say?" Well, you really don't know my cousin Irving. He turned to me and says, "I know. You're gonna make soap out of us. But if I become a bar of soap, I'll refuse to bubble." Was my answer. I do not remember that, but he did. The interesting part was, so I said, what was the reaction of these young 18-year-old members of Israel? The chalutzim, the free, the strong. They didn't know quite how to react. Should they laugh? Is it appropriate? They stood there stone-faced. And so standing in formation like this, and suddenly the whole line begins to move. And suddenly I'm facing a man in uniform, dressed beautifully, with shiny boots, and a riding crop in his hand. And he says very little. He just moves his riding crop, rechts and links, to the right and to the left. Most of the people are going to the right, in this direction. A few to the left. Very soon I lose sight of my grandfather and grandmother, my aunt, my 10-year-old cousin, because they're going in this direction. Buildings that have chimneys and flames. We marched over to the left, under guard, of course, to another part of the camp, and we walking into a barracks-like thing, and the number of chairs there, and people who have shears in their hands, and tell us to get undressed, take our clothing away. So now I have nothing of mine except a pair of boots. But eventually I lose that too. They shave us, they spray us with something, probably a disinfectant, and now I'm wearing a striped gray and blue pair of pants, jacket and hat, and stand in formation for hours. And then it is now midnight maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, and we haven't eaten in a while. We have not been able to go to relieve ourselves, haven't gotten any water. And finally they tell us we must enter a building. And in this building, there's nothing but on both sides what I call shelves, deep 6-foot shelves. One close to the ground, another one about 2 feet above that, 2 feet more and 2 feet more. And that's where all of us are supposed to go and sleep. And we do, because it's late at night, we are hungry, thirsty, can't leave. And of course, within minutes, most of us are asleep in this very strange place. But before we turn it on, it's morning. The whistle is blowing. Everybody out, house, information, we're counted. And then a marvelous piece of information. You now may enter the latrine. We'll visit one of those. It's not exactly something that you would want to spend any time in. But it was, and you'll see it later on, it's a slab of concrete. The length of the whole barracks with holes side by side. And on either side is a pipe. And in spaces about a couple of feet apart, there's a spigot. That, my friends, was the bathroom. But not that you could sit there as long as you wanted. Very quickly, we're told to get out. And we're standing in formation again in front of our building. And suddenly I see that a number of people, maybe a half a dozen, are bringing along small little desk, like a school desk. And next to each one of those desks is a chair. And we're called to sit down one at a time to these places, roll up our sleeves. He takes out a hypodermic needle. At least it looked that way to me. And an inkwell. Fills it up with ink, tells me to roll up my sleeves, and suddenly begins to poke my hand very quickly as I look down. Now I have a number tattooed on my arm. I'm no longer a person with a name. I am now a number. I am branded just the way cattle is branded. I'm the property of the German government. That they made sure that I understand. And besides that, once it's tattooed, you can't take it off. And therefore, should you be by any strange and stretch of the imagination escape, they'll find you. They'll know where you're from. That, my friends, was my introduction to this place called Auschwitz II.